public university, liberal arts, community college, conservatory. When you're thinking about where to go to college, trying to pick the right one can feel like throwing a dart at a dartboard from really far away with your glasses off and you're also just bad at darts. Which is to say, college decisions can feel really confusing and a little dangerous. But with a little focus and training, you can figure out how to aim that thing and what you're actually aiming for. Hi, I'm Erica Brzozowski, this is Study Hall, and here are 6 things to know about different types of colleges. When you're researching schools, you're going to see lots of different categories and descriptions of those schools, based on the kind of degrees they offer, or their size, or their philosophy of education. Like Harvard is a private, nonprofit research university. So are the University of Chicago and MIT and Duke. But the University of Michigan and UCLA and ASU are public nonprofit research universities. Oberlin is a private nonprofit liberal arts college and music conservatory. And there are also for-profit schools and trade schools and community colleges, and the list goes on. Maybe none of those categories mean much to you, but it's worth knowing what all those words are all about, so you have as much information as possible and can choose the school that works the best for you. Which is what Study Hall is all about. We have tons of resources and courses that can jumpstart or restart your college and career journey right here on YouTube. Here's how it works. Watch any of the course videos on the Study Hall channel for free, then sign up for an online college course led by ASU faculty for just $25 and apply what you've learned. If at the end of the course you're happy with your grade, pay a fee that's about 1/3 of the cost of a college course to get 3 transferable college credits on your transcript. Whether you're building new skills, trying to earn college credit, or just proving to yourself that you can do it, Study Hall can help you reach your goals without the financial risk. Check out the link in the description or go to gostudyhall.com to learn more. Now, back to all those different types of schools. One way to distinguish between them is to follow the money. For all those schools we mentioned, the first thing on the list is whether the school is public or private. That refers to where the school gets most of its money. Traditionally, public institutions are mostly publicly funded, which means they get their money not just from tuition or donations, but also from taxpayers. Meanwhile, private schools rely mostly on donations, endowments, and tuition to make ends meet. And all of that can affect college students in a few different ways. Like public institutions aren't allowed to have any kind of religious affiliation or to have single-sex student bodies. The idea is that they can support all kinds of students, and lots of them have a variety of resources to support students of different religions, cultures, and backgrounds. But private schools can set their own standard for things like admissions or certain school policies, whether that's being a women's college or requiring students to go to chapel every Wednesday. The choice between public and private is probably also going to affect your bank account. In 2025, the average public community college tuition is about $4,000 a year, if you live within the school's boundaries, like a city or county. Students outside that boundary pay about $9,000 a year. For public universities, that number jumps to just under $12,000 a year for in-state tuition, while out-of-state students can expect to pay around $31,000. If that sounds like a lot, beware. The numbers for private schools get way scarier. A private 2-year school can be $20,000 a year, while 4-year schools are running students something like $43,000 a year on average. And yearly tuition at schools like Yale or Brown can reach $70,000 a year easily. That said, you probably won't actually pay that much. Regardless of which type of school you go to, it's pretty rare to pay the actual sticker price on your college tuition. On average, undergraduate students receive around $6,500 in federal loans and nearly $13,000 in grants and scholarships. And more schools are even starting to offer free tuition for students whose families meet a certain income threshold. While we're on the topic of money, it's also worth considering what the school is doing with that money. Most of the time, whether a school is public or private, they're also considered to be a nonprofit. That means they're not in the game to make money, even though sometimes it seems like there's plenty of money floating around. The idea is that all those tuition dollars, all those grants, all those donations are supposed to be invested back into the school to improve things for students. That means things like bigger, better, newer gyms, libraries, research labs, dorms, and all those rock climbing walls and lazy rivers you're always hearing about. For-profit colleges, on the other hand, are private schools where the goal is to make money. Their tuition can be more reasonable than other private schools, costing around $16,000 per year, but they usually have fewer scholarships or financial aid opportunities. And that focus on making money can lead to some weird situations. Like the time DeVry University defrauded 1,800 of its students so badly that the government erased their student debt. Sometimes people choose for-profit colleges because they think it'll be easier to get in, or because they offer more flexible schedules or specialized programs for certain careers. But if you do consider one, definitely kick those tires before you sign up. Especially make sure any college you choose is accredited. Unaccredited for-profit schools, and there are lots of them, can leave you with non-transferable credits, a degree that other schools and employers won't recognize, and a ton of debt to go with it. Regardless of where the money's coming from or where it's going, you have another big decision to make. The choice between a 2-year or 4-year school, which has less to do with how long you'll be in school and more to do with what kinds of degrees the school might offer. 2-year schools, which might also be known as community colleges or junior colleges, can offer a huge range of professional training and certificate programs, as well as associate's degrees in anything from biology to education to culinary arts. These schools are generally made to serve their local communities, and they tend to be non-residential, meaning that students usually live in their homes nearby instead of on campus. So while you might miss out on some of the classic college stuff from the movies, like starting a toaster fire in your dorm kitchen, 2-year schools also offer a lot of flexibility. In 2022, over 40% of community college students also had part-time or full-time jobs. Plus, once you have an associate's degree from a 2-year school, you can head straight to a job as a preschool teacher or a vet tech or a paralegal. Or you can use it as a stepping stone and transfer those credits to a 4-year college. These are schools that offer bachelor's degrees, whether that's your basic Bachelor of Arts or Science or more specialized Bachelor of Fine Arts, Nursing, or Business Administration. These degree programs tend to be less specifically tied to a particular career than the programs at 2-year schools, so be ready for lots of questions about what you plan to do with your English degree. Or you could be like me and turn around and go right back to grad school. But a bachelor's degree can lead to broader opportunities and higher paying jobs in the future. 4-year schools also tend to have things like dorms and dining halls with lots of students living on campus. And compared to 2-year schools, they'll probably offer more kinds of extracurriculars, social events, electives, and research opportunities for students. If a 4-year school sounds like what you're looking for, then there are still a few more categories for you to think about too. Because different schools emphasize different things when it comes to exactly what kind of education you're going to get. Like, liberal arts colleges tend to put a lot of emphasis on stuff like getting a broad, well-rounded education from great teachers in things like social sciences, humanities, writing, and critical thinking. They often don't have grad programs, and they tend to have fewer people and smaller classes, where you can build super close relationships with classmates and professors and really personalize your learning experience. Research universities, on the other hand, emphasize research. That means professors aren't just teaching. They're also mentoring grad students and doing their own thing in the lab or the library. So these schools tend to be larger, with bigger classes and more specialized tracks for stuff like business or healthcare. They also offer a wider variety of degrees than liberal arts schools, from things like BSNs and BBAs up to master's degrees and doctorates. All those overlapping categories represent a huge chunk of the college landscape. But a growing number of students have started to really lean into job readiness, opting to attend a trade school, aka a technical or vocational school. The main purpose of these schools is to train you for a job in a specific industry. They usually offer diplomas or certificates rather than an associate's or bachelor's degree, and they focus on careers that take specialized hands-on skills, stuff like carpentry, cosmetology, welding, cooking, or plumbing. That means you get out into the workforce ASAP, with many trade school programs only lasting between 6 months and 2 years. It can also be a lot cheaper than traditional college, costing between $12,000 and $20,000 per year. Or, if you want to start working immediately, you might go for an apprenticeship program. In these programs, you'll learn a trade through a combination of classes and on-the-job training. These programs are usually pretty affordable and can even be paid for through government funding or your employer. Plus, since you're working, you'll be earning money in a field like plumbing, carpentry, or cybersecurity instead of paying to go to school. These programs can last 1 to 6 years, and at the end, you can also get a certificate recognizing your skills in that field. But if none of those types of colleges feels quite right, there are a few more things for you to consider. Like, maybe you're looking to go hard on your art rather than your trade. If you're a ballet dancer or a cello player or knocking the crowd dead in your high school's production of Bye Bye Birdie, you might aim for a conservatory, a kind of specialized college for arts like music, dance, or theater. Or maybe you want to prepare for a career in the military by going to a military service academy. There are 5 of them in the US, each focused on a different branch of the military. And their tuition, fees, room and board costs, all that stuff usually gets waived in exchange for military service after you graduate. Then there are categories like Ivy League schools, which is a group of 8 prestigious private research universities, places like Harvard, Yale, and Columbia. And land-grant universities, which were originally all about agriculture and mechanical arts and military tactics, but these days are basically just another research university. Or you might see HBCUs, or historically black colleges and universities. These are schools that originally started before the Civil Rights Act to educate black students who weren't allowed to attend most US universities. These days, more than 200,000 students of all backgrounds attend more than 100 public and private HBCUs in the United States. But if the whole going to college thing just doesn't work for you, you might look into a hybrid or online college program. These programs exist at all kinds of colleges and can give you more flexibility in your education. We actually have one right here, where you can try out college classes for only $25. Check out our channel or go to gostudyhall.com. And there are even some fully online schools that don't have a physical campus at all. Places like University of the People and Western Governors University. Keep your eyes out because a lot of fully online colleges are for-profit schools. But more and more public schools are offering fully online programs too, and they can be a good option if you have a wild schedule or can't get yourself to a college campus. In the game of college darts, the spot you hit on the dartboard is important. It can affect your career, your finances, and lots of other stuff. But the game doesn't end once your dart hits the board. If you feel like you're in the wrong spot, you can always pull the dart out, refocus, and fire again. You don't have to do it all alone either. Most colleges are full of advisors and support staff who want to help you train your eye, steady your arm, and land that dart on target. And if you use those resources and figure out what it is you're actually aiming for, pretty soon you'll be throwing that dart with a lot more confidence and be less of a danger to yourself and others. If you're currently in or thinking about going to college, check out our channel where you'll find more tips about navigating college applications and choosing a major. To find out how to earn college credit with Study Hall, go to gostudyhall.com or click on the link in the description. And if you want to help us out, give this video a like, tell us about your dream school in the comments, and smash that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, see you next time.